Today we decided to kind of take another step back again from necessarily newer features and just take some time to kind of go over some more best practices and how you can get the most out of the AI features in Slant. So, just getting some feedback from clients and teams that they would love just to be able to hear like new ideas and how they can use the AI and identify opportunities where they may not already be using those features within Slant. So, kind of gonna be jumping all around the platform today and just showing different AI features in Slant, which encompasses a lot because most of Slant's AI based. But just talking through like some different ideas for prompts, how you can like more customize and adjust different things, and then diving a little bit into some of the those other features. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I have way too many tabs open, so let me get to the right one. Okay, so I have a couple different topics I want to talk to you. The first one, just going to talk through preparing for meetings and using the prompts and how to get the best prompts you can. So, um, when you prepare for meetings, a couple things I'll just point out. So, we 24 hours before the meeting by default will send you a meeting prep email. You can customize the prompt for that email. So, when you go, I'm using Noah's Scooby-Doo account again today. So when you go into settings and you go into this prompt section under customization, then it is under meeting prompts is where you can edit this prompt as well as several others that are related to the meeting prep here. So I'll click into this. So this meeting preparation section right here, this is the prompt that we give by default to create those meeting prep summaries, which you get both inside of Slant and also in that email 24 hours in advance. And so we're trying to tell it just to give you like a quick scannable under 2 minute thing that you can review prior to your meetings. But you can come in here and you can add or remove or adjust whatever you need to prepare best for these meetings. Something else I'll say is that sometimes advisors want to start preparing for meetings more than 24 hours in advance. And maybe they want to do some more prep before and then just get like a quick agenda or something like that just right before the meeting. That is something you could also set up inside of automations or using a magic button or something like that. And so, if there's different timelines that you want, that is fully customizable. But these prompts here, that's something I definitely recommend to use. And I'll point out as well, you can prepare different meeting preparation summaries based on the meeting type that you have. So you might prepare differently for prospect meetings than you would client meetings. And so you can customize that, or even for, like COI meetings, things like that. You're not gonna put as much prep into it as you might for client and prospect meetings. So that is something that you can customize. A tip I'll give here for writing prompts, because writing prompts for AI takes adjusting things and kind of testing it out and doing that. The best person at writing prompts for AI is AI, because AI knows exactly how to write a prompt that it can kind of intake in the way that you want. And so if you've been using like, prior to Slant, if you either had a format that you really liked or you're using another software that formatted things the way that you like, I would recommend like copying that and you can, take out any personal information or put fake numbers in there or, whatever you need to do. But giving it to AI and asking it to write the prompt for you and utilizing that prompt when you're customizing your prompts. So I've seen that work really well. And you might need to tweak things a little bit, but you can be as specific and as long as you want those prompts, and the more specific you are, the more specific your output will be for those. Something I'll point out as well. So we also have prompt snippets. And if you go into a client already right now, you will see some of these in your account. And one of them we put in everyone's account by default is this meeting prep prompt. And so when you click this, I don't know if this person has enough details. Yeah, there we go. So I could click this meeting prep. It will pull from like previous emails and tasks and things that have happened since the last meeting and get you like a good summary that you can prepare for the meeting. So here we go. It's showing you what it's doing. It's looking through meetings, notes, tasks, and emails to pull all the recent activity that's happened since the last meeting. And so this is another thing I would utilize is these prompt snippets. And I'll also show you that you can customize these as well. So we have put in some prompts that we think are good for clients, but if you have preferences on what type of information you see prior to a meeting, that is fully customizable. So here we go here. It gave me like where things currently stand, any open action items related to me and the client, recent topics that we've talked about, and just like key personal details I should know about the client. And that's all based on our default meeting prep prompt that we have. So if I go here into settings, under prompts, and I go to prompt snippets, I can see this meeting prep prompt snippet on the client. These are like the specific instructions we're giving it. So we're kind of listing those subheaders for it to look through. But again, I'd encourage you to come in here and edit our existing prompt snippets and just add additional information that's relevant to your firm. So you can completely customize, what those headers look like, or if you want it to focus on certain sections more than other, whatever that might look like, you can include it in these prompt snippets here. And you also can create your own. So, for example, if you maybe do different meeting prep for different meeting types for clients, you could create two different prompt snippets for those, or whatever you need to do from there. So, other like AI features, I'll say related to client meetings. Um, and I'll kind of just point out with this prompt snippet. So we have a prompt snippet on meetings for suggested client updates. That's the one I'm looking at here. And this one's pretty cool. Let me go back into a meeting. And we'll go to this one. So, we also have some prompt snippets that are on meetings afterwards, and some cool ones that I don't see as many people using. One is like suggesting client updates. So, after the meeting, you can click this button, and I don't know if there was anything that was said in this meeting that would be relevant, but you can click this button, and what it will do is basically go through the meeting and see if the client mentioned like a new address or opening a new email, a new family member, any information that might need to be updated in the CRM. And what it will do is it will kind of surface any of those suggested updates and let you approve and then apply directly into their household profile to update within Slant. And so this should help keep your data nice and updated and fresh and clean. Even just based on them referencing things in the calls, things you may have missed. And so that's something you can also edit that prompt if you want to look for other things more specifically. Say you have like a custom field or something that talks about their goals and priorities and you like to keep that updated, you could use that. But there's some fun things related to these meetings. Another one is like coaching on the meeting. So if you want to be, improving on how you run your meetings, we have a prompt in there that's really mean. It never scores you. Highest I've ever seen is like an 8 that anyone's got. So that's a challenge for you if you can get over an 8 on that prompt. But also just adjusting that prompt for things you want to be looking at and seeing how you're doing and improving as an advisor. And again, all of these are customizable. So, if any of you have ideas, that's the thing I'll say too. I would love for you guys, as you have use Slant and have come up with great ideas to share them like in the chat and share ideas with each other because I get ideas all the time from advisors on like cool things that they're doing. So um, some other things with this, and we'll kind of talk about this. I'll just talk about these other two, but drafting emails, again, this is a default prompt that we give it. If you like to send your follow-up emails from meetings in a specific way, customize this. And again, if you send different follow-up emails based on different meeting types, customize that as well. Um, and you can also create magic buttons in the chat. I won't go too much into these magic buttons, but we do have a YouTube video on our Slant YouTube that kind of talks about magic buttons and what they are.
And
Honestly,
I have a quick question, if that's okay. What's the difference between the snippet and then the button?
Great
yeah.
question, Amir.
So I would say the button and the snippet are pretty close. The button is best used for more complex, like multi-step processes. So if you're just like asking the chat to like research information for you or draft an email or research and then draft or research and do a task, just like kind of one or two step processes, I think a prompt snippet is totally good for that. A magic button, like technically you could build a really simple magic button that would do the exact same thing as a prompt snippet. But what the magic button can do that the prompt snippets can't is these are built out in automations and you could do more complex, like multi-step things. So you could say, first research and find this information for me, then draft an email to the client, then send an internal notification to another team member notifying of that, and then create confetti or whatever on the screen. If you try to do that prompt in the chat, I think it would be a lot to put that all in one prompt at once to the chat. You could follow up and kind of do like sequential follow-ups after that, but it's good for those multi-step processes. And then there's also a few things that you can do from a magic button that you can't in a prompt snippet. So prompt snippets can do anything that the chat can do, like creating tasks, creating notes, drafting emails, starting projects, and researching information. But there are things you can trigger from an automation, like sending an internal notification email to another team user or another teammate or Slant user, or putting confetti on the screen, or adding someone to a sequence. So just some of the actions that aren't available in the chat or like more complex, like multi-step processes. That's when I'd use a magic button. This
Got it.
meeting hack email, this totally could be a prompt snippet. So this one wouldn't have to be magic button, but hopefully that helps.
Yeah,
With
I think that's why I was confused, is because the
yeah,
meeting recap email felt like it
yeah.
should be a snippet, not a button.
Yeah, we created magic buttons before we created prompt snippets, and this
Mm.
recap email prompt has existed pre-prompt snippet. So
I use that button like 6 times a day. It's the
yeah,
best. It's like a huge
Nice.
part of my practice.
yeah, yeah.
Do you do it on the client or on the meeting, Amir?
So
On the
I
meeting.
what I do is every single meeting that I have, I click into the meeting, I click the meeting recap email, send it to the client, and then I copy and paste it and put it at the top of the AI summary.
Mm.
Mm,
And I just found out yesterday actually that that is not also the AI summaries don't show up in the notes tab,
yeah.
which I feel like they should because those are basically the meeting notes.
Yeah. We keep them. Sorry, I'm talking through Hannah's computer here, but
Great.
yeah, we intentionally keep them stratified because it's a different type of note. Um, but that has come up a few times.
Yeah, because like now I've been using Slant for about a month. I clicked into a client and I was like, oh, let me look at my new notes. And there's
Yeah.
nothing in the notes tab because they're all like the
They're all
summaries in the meetings.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
On the
didn't do the exact same thing. I mean, the same
Yeah,
logic
so
behind it.
Yeah, it's good
yeah,
feedback.
so I'm like, where the hell are the notes? So that actually, I don't know if I should spend time going. I have 15 to 20 meetings a week, so I don't know if I should like copy and paste all of my AI summaries into notes or see if the chat can do that, or if that's going to be something you guys are going to tweak internally. Because if you're going to tweak that, I won't spend my time copying and pasting probably 100 meetings that I've had.
I mean, I
yeah.
think kind of some feedback for Amir was start using the chat. Like if you're like say you had a meeting with a client, you know you're looking for a certain thing in that note, just ask the chat and it goes through all your notes to
Yeah.
get
No,
to
I,
that.
I know that. I'm just not looking for anything in particular. Sometimes you just want to read the notes or like skim it. I mean, I'm a speed reader, so I'll like read through the last 3 meetings of notes. So
Yeah.
that's my meeting prep for clients.
Yeah. You can, if you prefer the meeting notes to be on the note tab rather than the meeting tab, you can create an automation that would automatically add the meeting notes to the note tab. Um, so I would say use that. I think we probably won't. at least I don't know of any near-term plans to change that.
Save that.
So if that's something you're constantly doing, rather than copying and pasting it, you could create an automation and you can have it look at the AI summary and then put that content onto a note.
Create a note.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your trigger could be like when a meeting is
complete.
finished,
I'll show you.
meeting's complete, research the meeting, and just tell it, copy the AI summary,
Yep.
and then create
Yeah.
it with that output.
Yep. So yeah,
cool.
meeting complete, research step,
Yep.
and then note,
Yeah.
and then you put the variable of the AI research step on the
Yeah.
note.
And so that, for instance, because it's multi-step, is a great candidate for an automation and a magic button, but not for a like you could do it in a magic button if you just wanted to do it that way, or you could do it automatically.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be a good prompt snippet because that a prompt snippet's just
It's too many. Yeah, it's too much stuff.
yeah, it's just the
Yeah,
prompt.
make a button that does it. The problem is going like I can do that moving forward. The problem is going backwards to the meetings that I've had that I thought would be in the notes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, keep asking questions as they come up, or if you have ideas, again, love to share it. And Hayden, keep pinging me if there's anything from the chat that I should reference. So, okay, awesome. So let me talk a little bit about book chat now. Great. So, and let's do a fresh chat here. So, book chat I think is great for finding like hidden opportunities in your book. So of course it will pull like reports and things like that for you. But there's some really fun things that you can use book chat for, and like I would definitely utilize book chat. Something else I will say too with like any of the chat features in Slant, just try it.
Yeah.
I get questions all the time like, hey, can the chat do this and this? I'm like, I don't know. That's a great idea. Like, I want to know. Like, just plug it in and try it. And if you ever feel like there are things you would like to do in the chat that you can't, we would love to keep improving it and would love that feedback as well. But the chat can do a lot that I think people don't even think that it can do because we're pulling context. Like we've got a really huge data lake in here about your clients. We're pulling a lot of context on things on them. And it's on these LLMs that have access to the internet and can also pull insights just generally about like financial planning systems and processes. And so, like I was testing a few things. Let me go to this one I was doing earlier. Like I was just testing some different questions here, and asking like, hey, what clients are approaching full retirement age for Social Security purposes? And it could search through my book. It has context on the full retirement age, and it could pull this cohort for me basically that has, and it knows what relevant columns are important too, like their ages, if the spouse has an age that's approaching, and it gives me information on this. And then the nice thing is whenever you pull open a cohort from the book chat, you get these bulk action items here. So, like this could be the perfect example to use a bulk email, for example. If you wanted to send an email to all of your clients that meet this criteria and draft some sort of outreach, you can use that bulk email. And you can use AI to help you write the email. You can even put variables in there so you're making sure you're putting in the names in there, and maybe just reference, like have it talk a little bit about people approaching that age and hey, let's find some time to meet and things like that. You also can, anytime you have like queries that you would like to run more frequently, you can save that as a report and then you can rerun that report. So if you're going to do it, twice a year, every 6 months, you want to see, or once a year, whatever that looks like, you can save that as a report for you to rerun as well.
How much context can that run through? So like I don't do a good job of like noting my clients' favorite sports teams or whatever. So could it like pull through? And I've had clients for like 15 years, like a 10-year-old note where they happen to say they like the Rangers. And I'm like, hey, all of my clients that like the Rangers, let me invite them out to a game. Like,
Try it.
Yeah, try it.
I
How
don't
far
know.
back can it go? Like that'd be crazy because then I don't have to like have custom fields for everything all the time.
Yeah.
That's the hope, Amir.
Yeah, especially when you're
Pretty
giving
cool.
like
Pretty cool.
it might not go back as far when it's a broader search, but I think when it's like a more narrow search like that, it's like not having to think as hard and as long. I think it would do a good job at that. But I have not tried for 15 years of context, so try it. I'd love to hear how that works. Yeah, so like other things like, hey, which households haven't have I not contacted in the last 90 days? And you can use touch point tracking for this as well, which I'll talk about probably a little bit, the touch point and client reviews, but you can even be more specific, like, people that I haven't sent an email to or haven't done a meeting with or whatever that looks like. And it will even tell you based on tiers, so you can prioritize what's most important. Like, hey, I have two B tier households I haven't talked to in 16 months. I should probably make sure I have some sort of contact with them. Or, like, hey, there are some people I haven't talked to for a while. Maybe I need to adjust their tier or whatever that looks like. And then again, it will pull open this cohort for you and it's pulled in the relevant information to the query I asked. And so it's seeing where their last touch point was, their last meeting, and their last contact app. And also like their tiers. So I can find, okay, let me find my A tier first, B, C, so on and so forth. Let's see, I was testing out some things and I just didn't have enough test data for this, but I have seen it work great for like if we've got like Roth conversion in there, things like that, if you're tracking RMD. And I see people with fields for that, which obviously does a great job at that. But specifically, I was like, hey, what clients are RMDH, haven't taken distributions in 2026? Pulls information on what that age is, helps me identify households that meet that problem. And if there are any gaps, like again, this is all a bunch of test data, so mine is not the best data to try this out on. But if it is like missing any information, kind of telling you what you could be tracking or doing to better run these searches and queries. I've also seen people do a lot of cool stuff with like the custodial data, asking questions in here, with asking how much time they're spending on certain clients and if it's matching different like the tiers that they have set for those clients, if they need to realign the amount of time that they're spending with different clients based on their tiers. I like to do kind of like evaluations and patterns on how my meetings are going and what types of questions people are asking in there. And so I'll ask it like, hey, what are the most common questions asked by prospects or whatever since the beginning of this year? And you can kind of then, develop more marketing materials or whatever that looks like based on the concerns and questions that matter to prospects this year. So book chat is really fun. I love to play with book chat. I think there's a lot of cool things that you can do in here. And if any advisors have tried questions that have been awesome for them, I'd love if you guys continue to share that in the chat and share ideas here. Awesome. Okay, I'll keep going. Reach out, like unmute yourself if there's any questions on any of the things I'm going over. I'll just briefly touch on this because this was the whole topic of our webinar last week. So check it out. Watch the YouTube recording of that if you weren't here last week. But we did add the ability to create client deliverables or prospect deliverables from the chat. So creating PDF in the chat. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with that. Like I think that's just something that you can use to set yourself apart. Is creating like a nice formatted, easy to read deliverable that you can send to your clients post meeting or even with like an agenda pre-meeting. We talked about it a little bit. There's a lot more to come on that with like branding and colors and things like that. It's going to be pretty standardized right now. But if you haven't already tried out creating the PDFs, I definitely encourage you to do that. We do have some buttons already, the prompt snippets in the meeting. We have a client deliverable one that will create a PDF with like a post-meeting recap. But if you also just ask the chat to create whatever PDF you want it to do, it will do a great job of that. And I've had it take like a Word doc with PDF information with client information and create a PDF. I've had to do it completely from scratch. And so kind of fun to see what it's capable of there.
Has anybody had good success with it in the last week or two? Daniel's nodding yes. Cool.
Awesome.
Nice. I looked up how many times it had been used. It's gotten used a lot. So if this is also the V0 of it. So keep using it. That helps us
I didn't know it could do that. That's really cool. I'm going to use this more.
Yeah, that helps us get feedback on how to make it better. And we know there's a lot of limitations as far as like graph and chart generation and colors and stuff like that. That's all coming. We're trying to nail the process so that we can really build it out. So
Yeah.
keep using it, give us feedback. I think it's a really powerful feature.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about some client communication things within Slant right now. So, first thing I will just reference, and we'll go back to this prompt section. If you haven't, I'll just say this whole customization section under settings, if you haven't already just taken a chance to like click through this and see what we can do, there's probably a lot of things you didn't even know you could customize and edit in here. So back to this prompts. We do have your email voice in here. This will, looks like, no, it hasn't sent any emails from this book, but this will auto-generate based on your past few emails that you've sent and is updating to what your email voice should be. And so it will say like what not to do, what you should be, what your tone and style is, how you like to format things. It will do a good job of generating that for you. But you also can come in here and be really specific in that prompt and add to that if there are things that you want to see in there. So that's one thing I will point out. But other kind of client communications things. So just a few things I'll point out. I don't have any important inbound emails in here, but if you're clicking into your emails, two AI features on that. One is that it auto drafts the emails for you. And so I would definitely be utilizing that, but also using the AI to auto generate tasks from emails. There's a generate task button that you can click as well. So if you're coming in for the day and just kind of responding to emails to get a quick response to clients, but are going to kind of go through tasks later in the day, or maybe you like to, I see advisors like to kind of segment their days to work on different tasks at the same time. That's a great way to do it. Something else I'll point out, we kind of talked about bulk email, is using AI drafted emails from within tasks. So it's a little bit hidden, so sometimes I think people don't know that this is here, but let me see if I can find a good example. Whoops, this one right here. So if a task is created and wherever it's created from, if it's created manually by you, if it's created from a meeting, if it's created from a project, whatever, if there's any sort of mention of some sort of like client communication or outreach or prospect, whatever, contact communication, then Slant will automatically draft an email related to the task. And so under this AI action section is where you'll see those drafted emails. The more context you give it in the description, probably the better and more specific that it will be, but at least gives you a starting point where it has like their email preloaded, has a good like subject line. And from here, if there's further edits that you need to make, you of course can use the AI prompt to have it add information, remove, change the length, formatting, tone, whatever you need. Or also you can just come in here and directly edit that. But that is available anywhere the task is created. And there's even a few places where you can be specific with the prompt inside the task. And so within projects, let me go to a project template here. Let's do client onboarding. Let's try this one. I feel like my computer's been really slow today for some reason. Okay. There we go. So anytime you have some sort of task that involves outreach to the client in a project, we have this section on the task for emails. And if it's a specific email template, like you want it to send pretty much the same thing every time, you can just put in that template right there. And you can put in variables, of course, so it will pull through like their first name or the current date or whatever that is. But you can also put an AI prompt in here. So let me see if I can find one that doesn't already have an email option. So you can also just put a prompt in here for the email. And that way it will create more of like a custom email each time for that task. And so what happens when you add someone to this project is it will create that task for you. And then when you go to that AI overview tab that I was just on, it will either draft that email based on the prompt that you've given it, or it will pull through that email template if you're putting a specific email template on there. And so that can just save, again, a lot of time with sending emails related to tasks. And you can also do that from creating tasks in automations as well. And so let me create a new automation here. And we'll just use a random trigger. But when you add the create task step here, we have this email draft section where, again, you can add your AI prompt or put an email template there. And then whenever that task is created from the trigger that you set in automations, again, in that AI overview, it will pull through the email from there. And yeah, I'll just do a shout out for automations. I won't go too much into automations because we have full webinars that go through this, but automations, if you aren't utilizing it, that for sure is a way you can get a lot of value out of Slant and save time. There's a lot of really cool things there. And it auto logs me out after being in for 30 minutes. So let me just get logged back in real quick.
Hayden, I have a question about that monthly reminder email that you and I were working on. I got it more or less set up. Is that something that we should schedule like one or just now, or I don't want to take up everybody's time?
Let's just schedule time, you and me.
Cool.
I'll throw my Calendly in.
Just email me the link.
I'll put it in the thread right now.
Okay, something I'll go over is sequences. I get kind of questions about sequences. I don't think a lot of people are using it right now, but there is some cool AI that's kind of baked into sequences. So it's also been a while since we've talked about sequences on a webinar. We do have a webinar from probably October on our YouTube channel that talks about sequences.
I'll post it.
Yeah. But sequences, like easiest way I can explain it, it's a campaign. So it's a series of automated emails and tasks. When you create a sequence, it will ask you to give it a prompt to give you a starting point in creating that sequence. So for example, you could say like,
You said automations, right? The automations webinar?
well, we have an automations one and we have a sequences one. Both are probably
That's
helpful. You
fine.
can
Sorry.
you can put them both in there. So you could say like create let's see, a campaign that has 3 emails and a task to follow them on LinkedIn for referrals that are given to us by clients or whatever. You can be a lot more specific in this. I'll just create this while I talk a little bit, but you could be very specific in the audience. So like, hey, it's people approaching retirement who have these goals and needs. You can tell it exactly how many emails you want. You can have it suggest that. You can tell it what days to come on. You can have it suggest that. You can be as specific as you want, but what it will do is it will create a starting point for you, which is, again, a series of these automated emails and tasks that would be sent on specific days when you enroll someone in there. And these are all customizable. So from here, if I wanted to change the subject line or add more or change what day these things are happening on, I could do this. But there's some AI that's kind of baked into our sequences that will help with client outreach. So one example, when you add someone to a sequence, if they either reply to an email that was sent in that sequence, or if they basically book a meeting on your calendar. So there's a calendar event that's created with any email address that's associated with that household. If either of those two things happen, it will automatically stop them in the sequence. So it's great for those types of things where you want to follow up with people, but only if they haven't taken some sort of action. So that is one aspect of the sequences, but we also just have some other nice things that are baked in here. We calculate when the best time is to send those emails based on when we're seeing that people are sending emails, opening emails, things like that. If we don't have enough information, then we just prioritize mornings as the best time. always send during like prime hours of the day and on weekdays, not on weekends. And so sequences is something you also can do from the bulk action bar and from automations. And so if you want to be like asking book chat, hey, help me find, people that meet X, Y, and Z criteria, you could also use AI to create a sequence, some sort of outreach for those people that match that criteria you're setting, and then bulk select and add those people to a sequence. There is a little bit of limitations to this. We are not like a mass marketing tool, so you can only have 100 contacts enrolled at a time across your sequences. But for like those shorter term, like follow-up, things like that, there's some cool things that you can do with that. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. If there's any questions,
Time zone.
let me know. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about documents and how you can use documents inside of Slant. So we do have PDF filler in Slant. Again, I won't go a lot into that because we've talked about it in previous webinars. We do have a full webinar that talks through how to create templates and fill PDFs, but that is really powerful and can save a lot of time. So if you aren't already familiar in your settings as an admin, you can set up document templates that you can use Slant to autofill any information in the template that exists inside of Slant. But we also do have, and I think some people aren't familiar with this, but we also have PDF extraction as well. So we can do PDF filling and we can do PDF extraction. When you're inside of a client household and you click this three-dot menu, this is where you can both fill a PDF and extract data from a PDF. And so, or a text file or another type of file there. But you can either choose, if you have an integrated file storage folder for that household, it will let you choose documents that already exist in that file storage integration, or you can just pull straight from your computer. And what this will do is it will look at that document. It will see if there are any existing fields in Slant that match that information on that document, and it will pull that data and show you it, and you can make further edits to it before accepting it, and then it will auto fill in any of the fields within Slant here. And so, of course, it will find these default like personal information fields, but any custom field that you have, you can also pull from. So, for example, I see people pull like the financial plan. They want to track some of that information inside of Slant. If you have a custom field for like goals and priorities, and there's a section on the financial plan for goals and priorities, it can find that, pull that in, and insert that into Slant, or any other possible field that you could think of. As long as it exists, it will be able to map it and pull it into Slant. So that is one thing. And then another thing, and I think we mentioned we've made some improvements to this recently. Let me go to a client here. Is that when you do have your document storage integration and you have a root folder connected to that household, the AI chat can search through those documents. And so I just did a test 3 minutes before the webinar started. There you go. Where I asked it, hey, like based on their tax return, are they above the Roth IRA phase out limit? And it was able to find on their tax return document, their MAGI, and compare and see if they were and give you some information. And it also will link that PDF right there as well. So if you're trying to like pull info from, insurance docs or tax returns or financial plans, whatever you have in there, statements, you can ask those questions. As long as you make some, like it has to have a general idea of where to go. So I said tax return and it knows that there are tax returns on there. It will do a great job of pulling that out and reference anything that you need to look in there. And if you don't have a linked file storage integration, you can still, of course, manually attach files. But we have made a lot, and by we, I'll say Max. I'll give credit where it's due. Max has spent a lot of time making improvements on being able to pull information out from the file storage integration. And so we're hoping that that's a lot more powerful and better for our users now. Awesome. Okay. Few other things that I will bring up. So inside of data customizations, this is where your custom fields live and a lot of other things. Um, One feature, and we've had this for a little bit, but that I don't always see people using is the AI filled custom field. So wherever whatever custom fields you have on the household level, you'll see this little AI sparkle icon, and you can click here and give it a prompt, give AI a prompt on how to backfill that specific custom field for you. So if you did, for example, want to do a goals and priorities custom field or something like that, and you want to know what people's goals are, you can give it a prompt. And again, the more specific prompt that you give it, the better job that it does. You can tell it what to search through if you have a certain formatting you're using in certain like notes or documents. Like tell it exactly what to search through, and you can have it backfill these custom fields for you. You can tell it who to run for if you just want it to run for clients, if you're having it run for clients and prospects, if you don't want it to fill in values you've already filled in but only missing data. And this is a static push, so adding this prompt doesn't constantly refresh it. You would have to come in when you want to update that, but it will save the prompt that you used the last time. So if I'd put something in here for it to go check it and I wanted to update monthly what, their goals and interests are, something like that, I could come in here, click this, it would have the prompt. I could add any additional info if I wanted to, and then have it fill in for me. So a lot of cool things here. Like something I'll see, for example, is we rely a lot on AI in Slant because it's very powerful, but there's certain information that I know people like to just track in a custom field for quick reference or to be able to pull in like a table view or something like that. And so if there's information that we pulled from your data import that's not existing in a specific custom field, we do always pull in all information in an import note. And you could use this feature right here to be able to pull info from the import note to have just laid out for you in a custom field. Or even if you've been talking about, favorite sports team, for example, because you like to take people out to a local sports game and you want to keep track of that, and you've referenced it in meeting notes and past notes, things like that. This is another way you could do it to have it kind of look back for you and fill that in. So I will kind of pause there. I've talked through a lot of different random features in Slant. Hopefully this has been really helpful, but I will say, like, I haven't even broached the topic again on automations and projects, and there's a lot that can be done in Slant. I hope that's never overwhelming. And the goal too, like you're all attending these webinars, is to give you ideas each week of things that you can work on to improve that. But love to open up with the minutes that we have left for any questions on any of the things that we've talked about today, or also if any of you have had things that you've tried out with the AI and Slant and want to share that, then that's great as well. You're all just thinking
What
hard.
Bros.
one this is on the API side. I was trying to use the API to convert the promote prospect to client, and I tried update household and a few of the other endpoints, but those seemed like the only way to promote prospect to client is in the UI. So that was just one request, is to use the API to drive that promotion.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Yeah. Consider it logged. I wish I could say, David, I understood the API more.
Yeah,
But
that's why consider it logged.
I thought you were going to ask
Gotta
me a
go
harder
start.
question, and I was going to have to defer. But
It's
yeah, we'll bring it up.
I've been
Bring it
using
up.
it a lot
Cool.
with stuff, so that's why it came up.
Cool. Yeah, we'll bring it up. Thank you.
Okay. Well, awesome. If there aren't any other questions, then we'll let you all get back to your days. But thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, everybody.